Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Technics. This is taken again from the Set 10 Revival. I have been enjoying the Set 10 Revival. It's reasonably well balanced, if not amazingly well balanced. And in this particular week at least, it's been a great place to test out some of the item changes. I mentioned this in the last video, but a number of item reworks that came out in this patch, and they were really intended for the current set, Set 14. However, they applied to the Set Revival as well. Not really going to be terribly significant in this game, but I have been playing around with them, and it's been a good way to kind of learn what these new items kind of do. Now, in terms of our augment for this game, or our encounter for this game, we end up starting out with a Jin, which means one of the augments is going to be prismatic. It turns out it's the last one, which is something I've never enjoyed. Those of you who have watched my games before on YouTube know that I was not a big fan. But I always am hoping to get at least a little bit of direction, and it turns out I actually do get quite a bit of direction right away. I am going to get a Gragas drops from the initial minion round, and then the very first shop has a Nami headliner, has 2 additional Namis, and has a Tarek. So I was like, okay, it sure looks like the game wants me to try to play a disco setup here, because I've already got 5 Namis, a Tarek, and a Gragas, and I was like, okay, that works. I can definitely do this. I also do have the opportunity to make one of the new items here. The Guard Breaker was reworked into, I honestly don't know the new name, I'd have to look at it again. What it does is it gives similar stats to what it had before, but now it gives additional damage amp if the user critically strikes, and it stacks up to 4 times. I think you get 5% damage amp per critical hit. And it goes away after a few seconds, but it can stack up to 4 times. It turns out that it's generally better on physical damage dealers. You can put it on a magic damage dealer, but it tends to be a little bit better on physical damage dealers. Now look at this. I get this option here. I actually get a Disco Augment. Rave Festival. Disco Balls cast the selected EDM champion's ability at 55% effectiveness. Gain a Jax and a Nami. So as soon as I see this, I'm like, okay, this is actually a new augment. This was not in Set 10. This is a new augment crafted specifically for the Set Revival. And it's basically an EDM plus disco ability that the disco ball will also do the EDM sampling. I think the intended effect would be to play, I believe the intended effect is to play some kind of a combination of disco and EDM. Are there any units that have both disco and EDM? I don't think any units have both of those traits, if I'm remembering correctly. But there's always been a lot of overlap in those comps because what they overlap on is they overlap on Dazzler. You have Lux, who is EDM plus Dazzler. And then there's an internal Dazzler synergy on a disco comp because Nami has disco plus Dazzler, and then Twisted Fate also has disco plus Dazzler. So that's really how these things overlap. Although, as I said, I don't believe that there's a champ that's both disco and EDM at the same time. So again, this is a new augment for Set 10. The Set 10 Revival was not in the original Set 10, so I never had a chance to play with this before. And I was trying to think immediately, how will I build the comp if I'm going to play around this? I think that the intention is that you could look to go heavy EDM. Like, I think that's the idea because you get another sampled ult off of the EDM in the form of the disco ball that, like, I think the idea is you play, like, kind of lightly into disco and then just play, like, vertical EDM. But that's not the route that I ultimately wanted to go, and that was largely due to just the champions I was getting. I was hitting so many disco champions. I thought it would be better to play this as a disco game that like also had EDM in it as well, and just like had this extra effect. That said, I definitely do need to play into EDM to at least some extent, so my immediate thought was, okay, I need to play Lux, and in fact, I think I need to make Lux the main carry on this team, because this team doesn't really make sense unless Lux is the featured unit. So I'm going to try to get a Lux 3-star, I think, and try to play through that as my featured unit, and run like Lux plus Twisted Fate dual carries. I thought about whether to play Jax, and I was like, I don't think I want to play Jax on this board. Jax is not especially great in the patch version of Set 10 that we're playing here. And on top of that, I just have other better units I want to play. Like, I get the Bard here. I was like, I think I'd rather hold Bard here, to be perfectly honest, because I have this Dazzler Nami. So if I can find Lux, even if it's not a Lux headliner, I can play the Nami, the Bard, and the Lux to get 4 Dazzler in, which is a pretty big spike over 2 Dazzler. Dazzler is the ticking damage over time thing. Is Dazzler units, when you have the trade in, their abilities debuff the enemy team, so that the units that they hit take, I believe they deal reduced damage afterwards. And on top of that, the Dazzler units also deal ticking damage over time. By the way, it looks like we're going to lose this fight, right? Well, we catch Yasuo in the Nami bubble, and then once that happens, it's a win from that point. So yeah, don't sleep on the early 2-star Nami headliner with that Shojin with that Nashor's Tooth I made early on. She's actually doing quite a bit of damage, and we are hitting both of her traits, Disco plus Dazzler. So like I said, we're going to try to play through Lux, and we're going to try to play through TF. I'm going to try to build items for both of them, and then I'll maybe add in more EDM units. I think if I could get like maybe Zed on the board as a trait bot, or like maybe if I get like a Tactician's Crown. We are going to get Prismatic for our final augment, by the way. So if I get like a +1 Tactician's Crown, I could play Zed plus the Jax, and then like that would get me up to 4 EDM. If I could find an EDM Lux headliner, that would get me up to 5 EDM. The other thing it means is I'm definitely playing Zac in this game. Sometimes if you're playing a disco board, you're going to want to run Gragas because he's a solid frontliner. Not great, but a decent enough frontliner. But if you run Gragas on your team, you can pair him like with either Alawi or Zac. And in a lot of games, you'd like to pair with Alawi because she's the best tank in set 10. But because I'm going the EDM route, I'm going to need to pair Gragas with Zac. So like I said, it's going to be Zac plus Blitz for our front line. And then we can like fill in units from there. I can fill in like the Gragas. Taric is almost certainly coming out of this. I just don't have enough slots to run Taric, and he's pretty terrible late game. So he will come out, but we'll run, as I said, Blitz plus Zac frontline. And then it's going to be the Lux plus Twisted Fate, dual carry. And then we can find like a Ziggs for the late game. That's great. I'm also holding Namis because remember, I'm going to have to sell my headliner in order to move into another headliner. And I want the ability to replace the Nami with another Nami. So I'll just hold on to that Nami 2-star on the bench there. It's not really costing me much econ. I guess if I sold everything, I could get to 20 gold this round, but that doesn't seem likely. And then, oh, what's this? Okay. We just randomly find an Ahri in the store. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just play this Ahri. Am I hitting any of Ahri's traits? Nope. But I'm pretty sure even an Ahri with none of her traits in is going to be better with Shojin's plus a tier. Not Shojin, geez. Nashor's plus a tier. I want to make a Shojin for Lux, but I don't have one yet. But I think even an Ahri that's 1-star and is not hitting her traits, probably still better than Nami holding these items. Although Nami, like I said, she does have Disco and Dazzler in play, so it's closer than it might look between these two. It's closer than it might look. I also would really like to get some upgraded frontline. I think the biggest weakness on my board right now is the frontline's not especially great, and that does not synergize well with the Disco trait. By the way, Disco is a trait there. If you can like pick good damage output or good frontline. For a disco board, you really want good frontline, at least in the early game. It's less relevant in the late game, but in the early game, you really, really want strong frontline if you're playing a disco board. That is because disco, what the trait does is it gives ticking health regeneration. So units heal for a percentage of their max health every couple seconds. They also get attack speed as well. I think I've said this in other videos, but in the early game, the health regen is more significant from disco trait, and in the late game, the attack speed is more significant because the damage just gets higher and higher the longer the game goes on. And in the early game, damage is low, and tanks can often just kind of stand there tanking forever. But in the late game, the attack speed tends to be a little bit more relevant. And like Twisted Fate definitely wants attack speed. As far as these items go, I don't really get what I'm looking for here. I was kind of hoping I could get a sword to make the Shojin that I've accidentally misspoke on like 8 different times in this video. I was also hoping I could get a rod so that I could make a jeweled gauntlet. I would like, if I could have like any items I want, I think Lux would have like Shojin plus Nashor's plus Jeweled Gauntlet. Those are like very standard items to put on casters, but I mean, they work well enough. Lux's mana cost is high enough that it's not really that effective to put a blue buff on her. I believe her mana cost is 60, but I don't have the cheat sheet in front of me. So that's like a little bit higher than you'd want for a blue buff. So Shojin would be nice, and then Nashor's Tooth always has good synergy with that. And then Jeweled Gauntlet letting the damage crit is always going to be pretty nice there. But yeah, that was not what I wanted because I just don't really have much that I can particularly slam here. Again, double gloves. Well, the one thing would be I could do a Thief's Glove. I could do a Thief's Glove here, but I really would like to use one of them for a Jeweled Gauntlet. And like if I get an excess of rods, making two Jeweled Gauntlets would not be bad either because I could put one on Lux and one on TF. So I thought about that, but I decided I would wait a little bit longer, and I really did not want to do the Thief's Glove Slam. All right, now in terms of these items, I could take the Heroic Grab Bag if I wanted. Definitely could look to go that route, but I don't love taking that because I don't feel like it's going to be that hard to hit 3-star Lux. I have looked through the whole lobby and no one is playing this unit, and there are some people that are re-rolling for other 3 costs. So I thought that I could hit the Lux probably without too much trouble. So I end up taking the front line instead. I'm going to take the Super Bramble Vest. I don't love this one either. I think that this augment is much better if taken on stage 2 than on stage 3. I would say don't take this on stage 4 at all. The thing is, though, my front line was kind of my weakness in this game. Like I have all 1-star frontliners. I have a 1-star Tarek, a 1-star Gragas, and then I've just found this set that I've stuffed on the board. So my front line is kind of my weakness, and I feel like I need to I just felt like I needed to get more in the way of frontline here. There's also quite a few boards that are playing physical damage comps. There's like multiple people that are re-rolling for Punk. And by the way, I'm definitely not beating this board. They already have 3-star Jinx. There's no way I'm beating a 3-star Jinx this early in the game. But there were definitely people in this lobby. There were a lot of them playing physical damage comps. So I didn't love the options that I had there, but I thought that getting the Thorn Mail was probably the best I could do. I definitely didn't want healing ores. I already have enough healing on this board by virtue of playing a disco comp. And I think none of the... I mean, I could have done the Crown Guard too, I guess. But I think I preferred the Bramble Vest over the Crown Guard. I literally do not have a single vest on my items here, so I was like nowhere close to getting anything that had heavy physical resistance. And yeah, that ended up being my choice. Was it really a good idea to invest in a frontline item though when I have all 1-star frontliners and like my frontline's not great? Kind of a debatable choice, but as I said, I didn't really like the options there. Anyway, I definitely wasn't going to beat 3-star Jinx, so I lose to that board. And then I'm up against another person playing Punk right here. Now, this person only has 2-star Jinx, so I might be able to beat this board. Biggest problem, though, is, again, my whole front line is 1-star, and, like, that's not great at this stage of the game. You definitely would like to have at least one 2-star frontliner. Still, if we focus the Jinx, we could probably win this. The problem is we're kind of focusing every unit other than Jinx, and Jinx does have a Rage Blade, which means she is scaling up her damage, and no, it was not enough, unfortunately. This is the new Rage Blade, by the way. The Rage Blade does not stack up based on number of attacks. It stacks up based on time duration in the fight. But it tends to function pretty similarly to the old Rage Blade in practice. You just don't want to put double Rage Blades on people anymore. All right, on this carousel, I had some choices. I did really want a rod. I actually want kind of multiple rods, but I felt like I had to take the Zac with the belt because this does two really strong things for my board. Number one, it lets me make a Warmogs, which is going to synergize really nicely with the Bramble Vest. I've got that Super Bramble, and you know, I've got like the best pure health item, and now I've got the best pure armor item, and I actually have half of a Dragon's Claw, which would be like the ultimate tanking setup there. Warmogs plus Bramble Vest plus Declaw is like the ultimate tanking setup there. So I'm pretty close to that, although if I did get another, I don't know, we'll see. I'll have to see what other items we get there. So that's one thing that it does that's really nice. The other thing that it does is it gets me a Zac. Like, I need to play EDM. As of right now, my initial augment has literally done nothing the entire game. Remember, the whole point of that gold augment I took at the beginning of the game was the Disco Ball serves as another EDM sampler, so it will repeat whatever the EDM ability is at a low effectiveness. I think it's at only 50% effectiveness. But I don't have EDM trade in. I haven't found a Lux the entire game. I could have played Jax, I guess, but I wasn't too impressed. I don't know. I didn't think that I wanted this to be Jax, a Jax setup here. By the way, this 3-star Yasuo cuts through me pretty easily. Has a Titanic Hydra, which is one of the new artifact items. I have no idea if that's any good on Yasuo. I will say that person does not have a Quicksilver Sash on Yasuo, so that units, or no Quicksilver Sash, no Edge of Night, so that unit's pretty susceptible of getting crowd controlled. In any case, big picture stuff. My stage 2 went really well. I won 4 out of the 5 rounds on stage 2. My stage 3 is not going so well. And I'm actually reasonably pleased with my items here. If I could just get some rods. I kind of need rods pretty badly. And I think I have a direction for where I want to go with this board. The problem is I'm not seeing the units I want to get. Like, to be at the end of stage 3 and not having found any Luxes yet is not great. I also had a Gragas on literally the first minion round of the game, and I've never seen another Gragas. I only saw 2 out of 3 Tarics. I was never able to 2-star the Taric. I did sell a Taric to get to one of the income breakpoints there, but I've never seen the 3rd Taric, and that unit's about to come out of the board anyway. That unit's going to get replaced as soon as I can find something better. So, I mean, I have found Namis. I'm on 8 out of 9 Namis, so okay. I mean, I might as well collect the Namis at this point. At this point, I could sell the Headliner and still have 5 Namis left over. So, it does look like I'm going to lose this round as well, but this could be a perfect loss. Yeah, it's going to end up being a perfect loss, so I'm actually okay with that. So for streaking purposes, I've actually done reasonably well. Oh, and this actually prompts the decision: 2 more Namis in the store. So I was gonna sell my Headliner anyway soonish, but that just made it super easy. Sell the Nami and just go right up to 7 Namis. Again, I don't think Nami 3-star does much for my board, but it costs so little econ to hold the Namis at this point, I might as well. So I could have had 3-star Nami there, but if I had clicked on that, I would have still... I mean, like, I'm not going to win the game with a 3-star Nami Headliner. I had to sell it to move into a new Headliner. So now we're at level 7. Now we'll roll for a Lux Headliner, and there is Lux. There she is. So we just need to work around that. And I just kind of tossed Echo on the board, not really trying to do much of anything, but I guess he does help. He does put Spellweaver trait in for the Ari back there, so I guess that helps. Although now that I have Lux, I ended up moving out of the Ari. Maybe I should have kept Ari on the board a little bit longer, but I was trying to get into my upgraded team composition. I'm rolling here. I need to hit a little bit more than I've hit thus far. True damage Echo, not bad, but it's not going to work here. And we'll just replace the Taric with the Blitzcrank, which also puts Sentinel trait in play. We'll give Lux the EDM selector, and now we finally have the chance to get our initial augment in play for the first time, which means that now my disco ball is going to shoot a laser. The disco ball now has a laser beam that's going to fire. I think Lux's is every 6 or 7 seconds. It's right around that. Now that said, can we beat a 3-star Jinx? I don't think we beat 3-star Jinx, unfortunately. But we did manage to get her reasonably low, given how little of my team I put together. It's actually not so bad. So, as I said, now we're going to have 1 more augment. And we know this one's going to be prismatic by virtue of what we had on that initial encounter. So what are we going to get for this one? Okay, it's not Roll the Dice. It's not Rascal's Glove. It's too late in the game for that. What is it? One of those I couldn't do because I couldn't have I need to have my units grouped up. I decided to take the Wand Overflow. Gain 5 needlessly large rods. I also get a Lux Headliner here, and it's an EDM Lux Headliner, which is honestly the version I preferred out of these options too. Just because I can already play 4 Dazzler if I just find TF, so I don't really need the Dazzler Lux. So this is going to allow me to play more ranks of EDM. And now I've got all these extra rods, which is a really interesting thing to make. So I'm just going to make tons of items out of these. I'm going to make dual jeweled gauntlets. I'm going to make a death cap, and then I was like, sure, why not? Let's go ahead and do Archangel Staff as well. And okay, hit 6 Luxes. These are actually going to be reasonably good TF items. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute. TF needs attack speed, right? Doesn't TF need attack speed to be functional? Like, he's going to have a ton of ability power with all those rods, with Death Cap, plus, Jeweled Gauntlet, plus Archangel Staff. Like, TF's going to have a ton of AP, but he's not going to have any attack speed. But I'm like, remember, the Wand Overflow Augment gives you 5 rods, and in addition to that, it also gives attack speed for each rod. I believe it's 5% attack speed per rod. And I actually have 4 rods on the Nami, who's, by the way, is holding TF items. Yeah, 2 rods on the Death Cap, 1 on the Jeweled Gauntlet, 1 on the Archangel Staff. So that item is actually giving quite a bit of attack speed, too. It's giving a truckload of AP, and it's also giving a lot of attack speed, too. So I think those items are actually going to be pretty good on TF. They are unorthodox, to be sure. But the Wand Overflow, I think, was a good fit for this board. It's like you have to be very careful about when you take that, because most of the time, in most games, you can't use 5 needlessly large rods, let's be clear. But I had 0 rods up to that point in time. I had none, like literally not even 1 rod. So it allowed me to make double Jeweled Gauntlets and a Death Cap, and then also an Archangels, because I had an extra tier as well. So it really did fit with the stuff that I had left over. And I think that it actually was a pretty good fit. Now, the thing that I need in this situation right now is I need more frontline. If my frontline were just 2-starred and could stand up there for any length of time, I think I could win like some of these fights, because the Lux's items are quite good. And if I can just get a TF and put the items that are on Nami on TF, again, I think that my board's not that far off, and I am on 6 Luxes here, but like, I just need a little bit more to get my board to come together. All right, so it's time for another carousel, and there is a Ziggs here, and I did think very seriously about taking this Ziggs, but ultimately what I wanted to get was the sword. Oh, I guess never mind. I never had a chance to take the Ziggs anyway. It just gets snapped up. So I was trying to take the Viego with the sword, but then I was like, ah, man, I don't have it. I was like, not exactly sure what to do here. I probably should have just grabbed the Alawi, because I can always use another frontline item, and that would have denied the opportunity for someone else to play Alawi, plus it would have sold for 5 gold. But I end up not taking that, and I end up getting this tier, which the logic was, if I can't get a sword for Shojin, at least I can make a blue buff for Lux. That's what I was thinking. I was like, if I can't get a sword for a Shojin, I'll just make blue buff on Lux, and it won't be as good, but it'll at least be a little bit better, because she does need some mana generation. She does not have enough, she doesn't cast often enough if she doesn't have like a Shojin or some kind of item to give her mana generation. It also did give me 2 out of 3 bards, so that's not a major consideration at this stage of the game, but it is 2 out of 3 bards, and now I'm up against another 3-star Jinx. This Jinx is running one of the new items, Kraken Slayer. This one synergizes really well with Rageblade, and I think it's pretty much going to become the norm. I think it's probably already been that way in like the set, or in like the full version of the set in set 14. But if you make Rageblade, you usually want to pair it with a Kraken Slayer. Rageblade, of course, gives you stacking attack speed based on how long the fight lasts. The Kraken Slayer gives the unit additional AD every time they auto attack. So if you want just the scaling auto attack build, it's Rageblade plus Kraken Slayer. And then the Deathblade just gives even more AD and damage amp. But Infinity Edge is probably better there because it allows the damage to crit. Anyway, I could roll for the Echo 3-star. You might have noticed I am seeing a lot of Echoes here, but I don't have enough econ for that. And I decided I would just roll to 40 here. Again, no, I don't need more Echoes, buddy. I don't need more Echoes here. I do not end up hitting any Luxes, and part of the reason why I was rolling there is I was like, my board just... We're kind of not really hitting. I mean, we are hitting the Namis. I'm on 8 Namis now, and I sold a headliner, so I've actually seen 11 Namis this game. But in every other respect, my board is kind of not seeing the champions I need. I'm still on, right, what, 1-star Gragas? I've seen 1 Blitzcrank. I've seen 0 Zacs. The Zac I took off a carousel. I have not seen a Zac yet in the store. And I've seen 3 Luxes plus the headliner, and I've rolled a decent amount. So, like, I'm not really seeing a whole lot here, unfortunately, as yet another punk board bowls me over. I was like, oh, man, this is not good. I'm on 21 HP at the end of stage 4. But, again, I still feel like my board is not that far off. If I could just hit the 3-star Lux and get even a 1-star TF on the board, and then get my front line upgraded. Okay, well, Nami 3-star. Okay, sure, whatever. Nami 3-star. I guess we're playing through Nami 3-star, I guess. But if I could just get the Lux upgraded, get 1 TF, and then upgrade my front line, I actually think this would be pretty strong. One of the biggest advantages of Lux is she's really good at sniping backline. Mostly in this set 10 is mostly a front-to-back teamfight setup. There's not a lot of units that really have much ability to get in the backline. Some of like the crowd diver units can do it. Akali is pretty good at getting in the backline. But there's not a lot of backline access. This set does not have assassins. By the way, I get another tier here, which is not what I'm looking for. Sona, no. Why couldn't you be Ziggs? It's not what I want. All right, the sword is there. I did think for a second. But yeah, I do want this. And all right, I'm going to keep rolling. I really need to get stronger right now or I'm just going to die. So there's TF. We'd like to get TF on the board. There's another TF. But we have to get Lux 3-star. Okay. I'm getting close. I just have to roll for this. Come on, Lux, where are you? All right, I'm 1 off. There we go. Okay, could have been worse. And now I need to level. And I actually don't even have enough gold to level, but I will slam TF on the board here, and I'm going to move Nami's items over. I just barely get them over in time. And then I have the items for a leftover blue buff, so I guess we'll do that. And well, I guess we'll put this on Nami. Now, Nami is not a great blue buff holder either, But if I can ever find Ziggs, blue buff's going to be really good on Ziggs. So I have to hope I can find Ziggs. And all right, Nami's bubble does trap the Yasuo, followed by Lux lasering the Yasuo to death. So yeah, just like that, we definitely got stronger, and we still need to put the Bard back on the board, who's going to put 4 Dazzler in. Now, if I could just get a 2-star frontliner, I guess I hit the Gragas there, but I've still have only seen 1 Zac and 1 Blitz in the entire game thus far, and it's not like people are playing these units, but I do get really lucky in that regard. I did hit the 2-star TF very quickly. So it's a bizarre game of hitting some things and totally whiffing on other things. I've got 3-star Nami without even really trying. I hit the 2-star TF incredibly easily. Again, TF's not being played by anyone else in this lobby. But it took a while to hit the Lux, and like I am not seeing Blitz at all, which is a problem because he's intended to be the main tank in this team composition. And I mean, again, I've seen 1 Zac in the store. The other one, again, I took off Carousel, and I'm glad I did take off Carousel. Still, now my board has come together. 2-star TF, 3-star Lux, with 4 Disco and 4 Dazzler, and we even have 3 EDM in, which means that Lux samples our ult relatively quickly. By the way, almost every single one of my units died to that Viego. What a monster unit, but fortunately we didn't quite die, and then Nami chopped him in a bubble, and that was enough. Okay, 110% effectiveness on the sampled EDM. I have to get up to EDM 4 to cut a second off the sampled ult, and of course I'm using Lux as the sampled unit. So for right now, I'm actually going to stop here, and then I'm going to build up some econ again. I mean, if I lose a round here and I go down to like 10 HP, I might start rolling again, but like, there's not really a lot to roll for right now. It's really just the Zac and the Blitzcrank. What I would really want to do is somehow get like 1 more Zac, put my tank items on Zac, and then try to get to level 9, largely so I could stuff Zed on the board to give me another rank of EDM. Going from 3 EDM up to 4 is pretty big because it cuts a second off the sampled ult. And in addition to that, Zed would also give another unit that's sampling the ult. By the way, here is someone who's playing the Guardians plus Rapid Fire setup. This is actually what I played in the previous video I put on YouTube. But they made a big mistake. They didn't get enough tank items on their front line. They have like no front line. And yeah, one big thing that Lux does is she's good at sniping backline. I kind of talked about that before. But like this set doesn't have assassins in it, so people kind of think that if you just like put your units in the back that they're going to be safe. But no, they're not. They're actually not safe there. Again, there's a Ziggs on this carousel. I did think about just taking the Ziggs. The problem is Bloodthirster is utterly useless for me. I have no use for this at all. It's like, I don't want a useless item. Not when I can get something that's super useful, and that's the red buff. This is really useful for me, especially if I can ever get a Ziggs in my team composition. Because I have no heal cut on my board right now, and the blue buff plus red buff combo is going to be very good at applying that. Again, these are just like perfect items on Ziggs. Plus, I do get lucky. I do hit the final Zac. Again, no one else is playing Zac, so he's pretty uncontested. We'll go ahead and move the tank items over to him, and then Nami is going to hold the red buff plus blue buff combo. She is not a good applier of red buff at all, but I don't really have anyone else that would be better. I mean, I'm not going to put these on a Bard when I have a 3-star Nami. I'd much rather put them on Nami there. So she's basically item holding for Ziggs. And then the idea is we go to 9, we put Zed on the board, we find Ziggs, and we replace the Bard with Ziggs. And like Nami's holding the items for Ziggs right now. Still, having 2-star Zac should help an awful lot. Again, my big issue is not having frontline. But now that Zac actually can survive for like some kind of length of time, just gives more opportunity for TF to throw his cards and for Lux to shoot off lasers, and we're still getting those sampled ults every, I think Lux's sampled ult is every 7 seconds, and we do not have enough EDM to cut down on the amount of time before the next ult gets sampled. So far so good. I've been like kind of seesawing back and forth here between like I won almost all of stage 2, and then I lost almost all of stage 3 and stage 4, and now I'm back to like big win streak again here. So it's been a kind of a roller coaster ride. Here. Anyway, I'm going to reposition over here on the right-hand side. Again, it's actually super important for me to position because Lux will always target the opposite side of the board with her ult, with her laser. So, like, for this fight, I have to have her on the right-hand side so she will target the Jinx. I cannot win this fight unless I kill the Jinx. The Jinx is by far the most powerful unit on this board. What these boards should be doing is they should probably just be putting Jinx in the center of the board. All right, go ticking Dazzler damage. Down goes the Jinx. And now this Pantheon is going to be super tanky, but there's no damage behind him, so we'll eventually kill this unit. If Lux was on the other side, I'm pretty sure we lose this fight. So again, positioning really, really, really important. Also, TF is doing as much damage as Lux in these fights, which is pretty interesting. But again, like I said, he has very good items. The only weakness of his build is he doesn't have attack speed, but this wand overflow gives him attack speed on all those items. Plus, he's getting attack speed from 4 Disco, so he is quite effective with these items. So a great stage 5. I win out. Win all the rounds, I'm back on a win streak, and now we're got to get to level 9 and stuff Zach on the board. Zach does not need items, he just is a trait bot, because once he's on the board, all the Lux ults will be sampled faster. But yeah, he's definitely the most effective unit I can put on here. And again, I don't think I'm ever getting to level 10 in this game, but if I could, I would want to put Jax on the board. And no, I'm not going for 3-star TF. Oh, look at this. I get another one of the new items, the Void Staff. So as soon as I see this, I was like, yes. The one other thing I'm missing in my board, I finally have a heal cut in the form of the red buff, but I don't have an MR Shred. So I'm going to go ahead and make one of those in the Void Staff. This is the replacement for Static Shiv. Rest in peace, Static Shiv. What this item does is it reduces the magic resistance of whoever gets hit by it. I think it's a 30% magic resistance shred for the next few seconds. So it's really good on units that hit a good portion of the board with their ult. Lux would actually be a pretty good unit to put this on, except that I'm kind of using Lux as the featured carry, so I actually don't want her to have this. I decided to put it on TF. I think he's going to apply it really well too. I didn't want to put it on Nami because she doesn't really hit the board. All right, it's down to just TF and Bard, and oh, that's actually going to knock that player out. I thought that player was pretty strong. They were playing they were playing that Jazz augment. What is it? It's like That's All Jazz, baby, or something like that, where the Jazz units get increasing stats every single round. They were a little unlucky. They didn't hit the Misfortune until relatively late. But yeah, I wanted to get them out of the lobby because they were stacking up their stats, and they were getting close, I think, to MF 3-star and Nico 3-star. But I got them out of the lobby before they could hit that, which was nice. All right, got to reposition again. We know who we're going to be up against. We need to reposition on the right-hand side because we need to try to deal with that Punk Jinx. And the good news is it's a Ghost round. Ghost rounds have always been bugged. So hopefully the Lux plus TF combo are going to be able to take out that Jinx. That's what we need. With TF applying, yeah, TF applies the Void Staff pretty well, and it is actually not a terrible item to put on a carry. There we go, Lux takes out the Jinx. It's not the best item to put on like a carry. It's more of an item you put on a support champion, but the Void Staff's not bad. Again, it's good on units that hit like most of the board with their ability, and I just thought that it was more effective to put that on TF because his cards hit so much of the board. Oh, the other reason is Lux still, a lot of her damage hits the back line. TF's damage hits the front line, and it's more important for me to shred the back line than it is to shred the front line, or more effective to shred the front line than the back line, because TF is the one who like needs to cut through the tanks, whereas Lux doesn't really need to do that. Anyway, I had the econ to go level 9, so I am going to go level 9. The reason why I wanted to do that is I think this is the strongest team in the lobby. Is this the same team I hit last round? Oh, I think this is the same team I hit in the... Yeah, this is the same team I just hit last round in the Ghost round, but the difference is this time this person has triggered the one last stand, or one final stand, which means that when they go down to 1 HP, they get an extra life, and all their units get additional stats. So they're going to be stronger in this round, so I figured I had to be stronger too by getting the extra rank of EDM. Oh, unfortunately, I think that Lux ult did not quite hit the Jinx. Oh no, that Jinx barely dodged some of the Lux ults, and we're going to get the Lux low, but not actually kill her. And I go down to 1 life remaining, go down to 7 HP. So I cannot lose another round or I will be out of the game. So this is an important carousel. Can I get something useful here? Unfortunately, there's not really anything I want that badly. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the Steadfast Heart. I need frontline here. That's the most important thing. I don't care about getting another Zed. Zed with a Edge of Night is not going to do anything. I don't really care about that. I mean, I guess maybe he'd survive a little longer just to get off more sampled ults, but I think it's better just to get a frontline item here. The other thing this does is it denies a Yorick to the rest of the board. Again, can I find some more Blitzcranks? Can I get like a Blitzcrank 2-star? That would be nice. Can I get another Zig? Or can I get a Ziggs here? I would really like to move these items off of Nami and onto Ziggs. Okay, we didn't get that. Also did not hit the 2-star Blitz, but at least there's an item there now. Alright, it looks like I'm going to be up against the Pentakill player here. So I was like, alright, I am positioned correctly right now. Are they going to move their Karthus at the last second? What they really should do, though, and they actually did move their Karthus at the last second, very intelligently done. What they should have done, though, is they should have stuffed the Alawi tentacles in the corners. That would have been better. Like, Karthus should have just been in neither of the two corners. It should have been the Alawi tentacles, because Lux has a bad habit of going after the Alawi tentacles. Anyway, we need to win this round or the game is over. It's really close, but oh, TF got off one last wild card. Look at that. TF's on like 10% health there. What a close fight. If Karthus gets off another ult, my whole team dies. I think Zach would have been alive, but he would have died after that. So what a very intense, very close fight there. And oh, there's Ziggs. Okay, you get out barred. Now we need to move these items around. Okay, so I want to put the blue buff and the red buff on Ziggs. I also want the Void Staff on Ziggs, because Ziggs actually applies it even better than TF does. So let's move TF's old items back to him. I'm moving all these items around. There's the Void Staff on Ziggs. Now I need to look, and I need to be on the other side. This is the board I just lost to last time. I have to be on opposite side, or I will not win this fight. So move, move, move. Everybody get over there. Gotta reposition, gotta reposition, gotta reposition. And okay, I didn't quite get through there. I didn't have time to roll to see if I managed to find one more Blitzcrank. But, okay, this person did not swap. They might not have been paying attention. They did not swap. Now I've got Ziggs, though, and Ziggs is going to be applying the Dazzler debuff and the Void Staff Magic Resist Shred really well. And, oh, look at those beautiful lasers. Go, lasers, go. Fire off the laser, Disco Ball, and down goes the Jinx. Once she's down, the fight's over, and we're going to win this round. And then it turns out the player I just knocked out, their ghost, is going to beat the other player. And that's it. We win the lobby. I never got 2-star Blitzcrank, and I still won the lobby. So yeah, there you go. That was a really close, really exciting game. I felt as though I had like this really weird luck because I hit super duper hard in some respects, and then like was on 1-star Blitzcrank the whole game with no one playing Blitzcrank. So it was a bizarre game, but I was really happy with how it played out. I thought that the augment choices ended up working out, and like this was one place where the wand overflow and the 6 rods or whatever actually did work out really well. In any case, though, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video. Till next time, hope everybody's having a great week. Take care. See you soon.